Hello, my name is Rachel, and I'm here tonight with day 10 and day 11 of my Merry Bookmas videos. I did not get to film mine yesterday, so I'm going to do a combo today. So day 10 we'll do first, and that was fictional crushes, and yeah, this wasn't really as hard as you'd think to come up with 10 of them, so let's get started. In no particular order, number 1 is Gansey from the Raven Cycle. I just think he is adorable. He's very dynamic, and Maggie Stiefvater's writing is just so vivid. I can smell the mint when he's mentioned, and I can just see him sitting in his little town that he's built in his room, and I just want to hang out with Gansey. It's true. Number 2 is Marcus from the Sloppy First / Jessica Darling series, and I don't know, he just really grew on me over the 5 books. There's a lot, again, of like dynamic features about Marcus, and I would really like to hang out with him as well. Number 3 is Ty from Stolen, and this one is so weird because he's kind of the bad guy, but I don't know. You get to know him so well, and you get kind of sympathy for him, and I don't know. You just kind of like him by the end, which is surprising considering what the book is about. Number 4 is Kel from A Darker Shade of Magic, and I don't know, maybe it's his multi-dimensional coat. I don't know. I just really liked him when I was reading it, and he's definitely on the list. Next is Cooper from the Size 12 Isn't Fat, or the Heather Wells Mystery series. And he just seems like a great guy. He's pretty badass, and he always saves Heather, and he just seems like a cute guy you could kind of snuggle up and watch movies with. So Cooper is definitely on the list. Next is Morelli and Ranger from the One for the Money or the Stephanie Plum series. I don't know how you could pick between these. If I did, though, I would probably pick Morelli because he's just, I don't know, he seems like the perfect guy. Like, you could argue with him and, like, fight with him, but then you could, like, make up and cuddle on the couch. It's perfect. It's perfect for people who like to argue. But Rangers seems kind of hot as well. He's just, like, the bad boy that you're drawn to, but I think long-term, I'd go for Morelli. Next is probably my biggest fictional crush, and that is, of course, Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. I don't think I need to say anymore. Next is Sam from the Shiver series, or the Wolves of Mercy Falls series, and again, I think it's just Maggie Stiefvater's writing. I just can picture myself sitting there with Sam on the couch in the bookstore, or underneath the folded paper airplanes. I can just picture it, so I don't know, he's definitely on the list. I could hang out with Sam. Next is Dave the Laugh from the Georgia Nicholson diaries. I think that he is obviously a laugh, and as you develop through the series, you just fall more in love with him, and I think he's probably, aside from Georgia, my favorite character in the series. And lastly, there is Cal from Every Boy's Got One by Meg Cabot. This was probably one of the first, like, romantic comedy style books that I read, and I loved Cal. I love when they have characters where the couple can kind of be sarcastic and bicker back and forth. And as I mentioned earlier, I love stories where they dislike each other at first and then gradually they start to fall in love. And that was definitely the case in this. And I loved Cal. I could picture myself arguing with him and gradually falling in love with him as well. So those were my top 10 fictional crushes. Now on to day 11, which were the best villains. So let's get started with the villains next. My villains in no particular order start with number 1, Ty from Stolen. I love him as a villain because you also, as you noticed, he was on my list before, fall in love with him. You have no idea what to think about him by the end of the story, and it is amazing. So Ty is on the list for sure. Next is Wet Lindsay from the Georgia Nicholson diaries. I just think it's hilarious that they call her Wet Lindsay, and I love the feuds that she gets into with Georgia, the main character. I just think it is so appropriate for, like, high school drama, especially with girls. It's just dead on for sure. Next is Lucian from Insatiable by Meg Cabot. He is a very, again, dynamic character. Like, you love him, but you know he's not, like, the great guy. So you're torn. Do you like him? Do you not? He definitely makes the list. Next is Snow from The Hunger Games. because, especially in the movie, I think they really nailed it in the movie, but even in the books, he's just so awful. I mean, it's just kind of smug about it. Like, you just really hate him. And that, obviously, is a well-written villain. Next is the bad guy from the Lincoln Lawyer. I'm not going to say who it is because that could be a spoiler, but wow. Like, wow. And the same thing goes for my next one, which is Gone Girl. I would say there's definitely a villain, but again, unless you've read it, you probably don't know who it is, so I won't spoil it, but again, wow. The next one I picked is Jaws, because that shark is terrifying, and yeah, I mean, it haunted a lot of people's dreams. I think that's a pretty good villain. Next is the villain from Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, and again, I don't know if this would be a super spoiler, but I'm not going to give anything away, but this villain, oh gosh, I hated this person so much. Oh, such a good villain. Next, I would list the entire set of villains from the Lunch Lady series. They were all hilarious. They included, depending on which book you were reading, such amazing villains as the League of Librarians or the Mutant Mathletes, and they're just all hilarious and awesome at the same time. For the next book, I picked kind of a weird one, and that was from In the Heart of the Sea, and I think that you kind of anticipate the whale being the villain. This is the story that inspired Moby Dick, and I don't think he really was. I think each one was kind of their own villain to themselves, especially as they carried on through their tough times. They kind of became their own villain. So I think this one was very interesting, just villain-wise. You know, trying to figure out who is the villain in this story, really. And last, probably my favorite villain on this list, and that is Lord Blackheart from Nimona. And if you've read Nimona, you know why he's my absolute favorite. He's my absolute favorite villain, and I think he probably always will be. I love that graphic novel, and I think it's mostly because of him. So that wraps up my day 10 and my day 11. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with one last final Merry Bookmas video. Bye!